The story of PewDiePie. My name is PewDiePie.
Hello and welcome to another episode of A Brief History. Today's episode, PewDiePie. Ready, set, go. Gothenburg, Sweden, 2010. 20-year-old Felix Kjellberg begins his first year of university pursuing a degree in industrial economics and technology management.
Aww.
However, it didn't take very long at all before Felix began to lose interest in school. To put it plainly, he just grew bored and wasn't enjoying it at all. So to combat this, Felix found solace in a few of his hobbies. The first of which was Photoshop art, for which he had a great passion and
He was already a motion designer, a graphics designer, or had interests for graphic design.
a large amount of talent, and the latter being, of course, video games. Felix had been a gamer all his life,
Nerd, just like us, just like me.
and for years he had been interested
Because I'm a nerd too.
in trying to make gaming commentary videos on this random little website called YouTube. He launched his YouTube channel under the name
Random little website. And at the time, bro, it was actually a random little website because he started early. He started early, dude. He was early in the game.
PewDiePie on April 29th, 2010, and from what I could find at
Damn, that's 2 days after my birthday.
least, his earliest video was known as High-Rise Nuke Free-For-All. But the oldest video currently viewable on his channel is known as Minecraft Multiplayer Fun, both of which were uploaded in the fall of 2010. So while he was growing increasingly disinterested with school, Felix had outlets where he could flex his creativity and just have fun. And while YouTube was mostly just a hobby, Felix's Photoshop art was actually beginning to gain some traction. This art that he was basically just making in his free time was suddenly winning contests and being exhibited in an art gallery.
Yo.
But even with all of this, Felix just couldn't bring himself to enjoy his university work, so come 2011, he dropped out. Luckily, he was able to use some of the money he had made from his Photoshop work to purchase a new computer, with which he was able to continue working
Damn, look at that.
on both his art as
Old Felix, bro. Or Felix, I'm sorry.
well as his YouTube videos. Now, for context, the YouTube
Not old, young Felix. Old photo, but young Felix.
scene in 2010, 2011 was very different than it is now. Most prominent YouTubers were typically vloggers or sketch comedians. Gaming on YouTube existed, but not quite in the same form as it does today, and definitely not to the same extent. So
I feel like at the time, I'm not sure, but I feel like at the time that it was so much more complex for you to but like to play games because there was so many copyrights involved that if you were to play some games, like they would automatically like file a strike on your channel or whatever because they wouldn't let you play the games, and especially Nintendo back then. I'm not sure. I think to this day there's a few like complexities when it comes to gaming. I think it depends a lot, but I don't know. I might just be saying a whole bunch of shit. I don't know, man. I'm overreacting.
But when it came to YouTube, Felix was just there to have fun. And yet, come the end of 2011, things over on the PewDiePie channel were actually beginning to pick up steam. He surpassed 100,000 subscribers in January of 2012 and had begun to make a name for himself through his mostly horror game-centric Let's
So in 1 year, he went from 0 to 100,000? Or 2 years? Yeah, 2 years, I think.
Play videos. And when I say horror game-centric, I mainly mean amnesia-centric because dear lord! But while his various Let's Plays were earning good views, it was his series of scary and funny highlight montage videos that really helped the PewDiePie channel take off, gaining hundreds of thousands, even millions of views each. And as many of you are aware, 2012 marked a massive shift in how YouTube operated, ditching the site's old and easily exploitable view-based algorithm in favor of a retention time-based model. Longer, bingeable, and more frequent video uploads were now the things getting large amounts of promotion, rather than, say, Smosh's weekly 2-minute sketch comedy video. PewDiePie fit this bill perfectly, and thus over the next several years, Felix's channel just continued to grow and grow and grow. But of course, algorithmic optimization doesn't mean much.
And to think that he was one of the guys that paved the way for all of these YouTubers today. He was one of the guys that paved the way, bro. He made way. He opened up the way. He made it possible for all these guys to dream about becoming content creators, whether it's through gameplay or through any other niche, any other genre. Like, dude, Felix, he's part of the history now, of the internet history, That's insane, man. Just think about it, bro. Just think about it.
If you don't have good videos to back it up, which Felix had in spades. In fact, during this period in 2012, Felix began some of the most popular of his really early Let's Plays, like Happy Wheels, Facade, Chats with
Bro, I remember this. This was popping back in the day.
Cleverbot, and of course, more Amnesia. And from
I had no idea what that was because I was so young At the time, I think I was 13, 12, 10. No, I was like 11, I think. Yeah, 11 or 12-ish, more or less. And like, I didn't know what the fuck that was. And let alone the guy was making money from it.
Here, PewDiePie's audience just continued to increase, steadily at first, and then startlingly fast. His channel passed 1 million subscribers by July 2012, only to then jump all the way to 10 million subscribers by July of the next year. But it
Wow. The fuck?
only got crazier from there. By December of 2013, only 6 months after hitting 10 million, Felix had nearly doubled his sub count, boasting just over 19 million subscribers, making him far and away the most subscribed to channel on all of YouTube, a
That is crazy.
position he's held to this day, currently clocking in at over 55 million subscribers. But far more interesting than PewDiePie's numbers is how he, as a content creator, has changed over the last few years.
And it's crazy that he was the real Mr. Beast, bro. He was because like Jimmy didn't even exist before. He didn't even exist until that. I mean, he already existed, but it was just like far back, you know, not anywhere near. But it's funny how everything changed because like now Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the world. So it's funny, but also it's because PewDiePie, he stopped pursuing that because he already retired. He made a lot of money. Maybe he chose to focus on family, you know, and the baby and then other things instead of just becoming the greatest YouTuber, you know, of all time. Because I feel like if he were to put energy into it, he could easily like be like on and on with Mr. Beast, bro. Because he's got cash for that and he's got power and influence for that. But he just doesn't want it, bro. He just doesn't want it. He's happy. He's happy, bro.
At the start of his rise to the top, Felix was
And what would you do, in your opinion? What would you do? Say you could be Mr. Beast or PewDiePie. What would you do if you had all that money in the world? You got like 2 options. You're gonna go ahead and work 18 hours a day like Mr. Beast does and do the most crazy motherfucking challenges ever. You know, like, the last one to touch the Ferrari or to leave the Ferrari earns the Ferrari or whatever the fuck. All this outrageous challenges. Would you do that because it's fun? Or would you just like stop and kind of take a break and just focus on your family and you? Because I feel like it's hard to choose because like on one end, sure, like Mr. Beast is working so much more, but he's also having a lot of fun and he is happy as well. I don't think, if he was not happy, I don't think he'd be doing this, right? And he's feeling fulfilled. But on the other hand, Felix is also happy because he has family. Maybe happiness for him is just having what he has, which is, you know, like peace of mind, inner peace, family, you know, just living a more chill lifestyle. I don't know. It's hard to say, bro. It's hard to say now, but yeah.
YouTube's premier gaming content creator. When people thought YouTube gaming, they thought PewDiePie. He even proved to have a strong influence over the gaming scene, with his videos arguably acting as the launching points of
Dude, Flappy Bird. Damn, that game was a hit.
popular titles like Flappy Bird. Yeah, remember that? But as the years went on, it appeared that Felix was beginning to base his content less and less on the games and more on his own personality. This became the most notable around 2016, when Felix's output looked less like this and more like this. Less surgeon simulators and more try not to laugh challenges. And this shift to more personality-driven content was also reflected in PewDiePie's newest and biggest project at the time, a premium YouTube-Red original series known as Scare PewDiePie. Premiering on February 10th, 2016, Scare PewDiePie was all about taking the world's most popular gamer and placing him into real-life versions of the horror games he was known for playing. Scare PewDiePie was a pretty
He was so young, bro. He was 20, you know. It's crazy that a lot of people, they're going to start thinking about creating content at their 30s or their 40s, some of them, because they didn't even have a chance. And also a lot of people, like, say like somebody today, somebody who wanted to do YouTube in 2010, if you were not born at the exact same time in which like 2010, you're 20 years old, you already like far ahead of the game. For example, you could be somebody who at 2010 is 40 years old or 50 years old. So you don't have that much, you know, maybe drive to do what he did, for example, because he was super young and he didn't know what to do with his life. He was not established like supposedly a 40 or 50 years old is established in their lives, you know? So it is so complicated to me how all of everything is like, but like I said, he took advantage of it. And Fuck, that's amazing.
Big hit, with its free trial episode boasting well over 40 million views. And there was even a second season featuring fellow Let's Player Jacksepticeye set for release in 2017, known as Scare PewDiePie Multiplayer. But unfortunately, despite being finished and ready for release, this entire season was cancelled. And now we're getting to it. So it's no secret that over the course of his career, PewDiePie has been subject to controversy, particularly when it comes to his more abrasive sense of humor. But this kind of came to a head in early 2017.
More abrasive.
When a few admittedly tasteless jokes of his not only began to catch heat, but kinda set the whole woods on fire. These jokes, along with several other out-of-context circumstances surrounding Felix, were then plucked by various news outlets and used as basically an all-out attack on PewDiePie. He was being labeled a racist and anti-Semite, he was dropped from his network, and as I said before, YouTube canceled Season 2 of Scare PewDiePie.
Damn. The fuck, bro?
And while
they're fucking my boy Pewds, bro. What the fuck?
Felix apologized for these jokes and denied allegations of being a racist or full-on Nazi, the news outlets that had come out against him never really let up on him or on YouTube in general, leading to what we now know as the YouTube adpocalypse. But despite all of this, Felix hasn't slowed down for even a second. His channel is as big as ever, still averaging several millions of views per upload, and he's even been doing a few more gaming-related videos than usual recently. PewDiePie is PewDiePie, you know? There are very few people on YouTube like Felix. For many people, when they think YouTube, PewDiePie is the first person who springs to mind. And this has been both a positive and a negative thing throughout his career. Positive, as it's given him the opportunity to do amazing things like release books and video games of his own and raise millions of dollars for charity. But also negative, as he's basically been treated like a target by more mainstream media outlets even before the most recent 2017 controversy.
I mean, I think it's just the price you pay for being that big, because at some point, if you just get, say you have a lot of people watching you, you have millions of views, anything you say, if it's said out of context or in a way that they interpret in a way that it doesn't serve them or they don't like or they don't agree with, for example, they're going to try to use that shit against you. And that's the price of being big. That's the price of having money and having influence and being like a top star, you know, in your feud. It's just the price of things. Nothing comes for free, bro. Nothing.
Looking back several years ago, the only time more mainstream news outlets would even look at PewDiePie was to talk about how much money he made, and do so in a very condescending, can you believe this kind of way. But through it all, Felix has never stopped making videos, opting instead to grow and change as a content creator. One day he was—
And Pewds also never changed, you know, he was always humble. He was never the type of guy who would just go ahead and start flexing 24/7, like, hey, look at how you guys are broke. Look how rich I am. Y'all are so broke. Y'all can't even do anything. Look at the life I live. You know, he was always like very down to earth, and that's why he's still up to this day, bro.
Was a college dropout making videos for fun, and only about 3 years later, he was the top dog on the world's premier video sharing website. And since then, Felix's channel has basically acted as the archetype of how a gaming channel can succeed. Pretty much every major gamer on YouTube has followed a similar pattern as Felix over their career. Everything from the games they play to the way they do face cam, and even the whole thing of shifting from gaming-centric content to more personality-driven content. So whether you love him or hate him, I think it's safe to say that YouTube as a whole would have been very, very different without PewDiePie. And no one knows this quite
exactly
like Let's Player Jacksepticeye, whose rise to popularity on YouTube began in late 2013 when—
like at the time I started watching him, I was way too young to understand anything at all.
Felix ran a shout-out contest on his channel. Jack entered and won.
And besides, like I said, English is not my native language, so at the time I started watching him, I didn't even speak English at the time because I was 13 years old. I only started speaking English somewhat at my 19s or 20 years old, more or less, and I started kind of getting good, more or less, because I still stutter every day and I make mistakes every day at 25 years old, bro. And I'm still working. Like, I mean, it's not like today I know everything. I have a strong accent, everything. So like at the time I didn't even understand him. I was watching it, but I couldn't understand everything. So I was so far back, bro. Damn.
This contest back when he only had a little over 2,000 subscribers, but I'm getting a little bit carried away. If you like YouTubers like PewDiePie and want to hear the—
He taught me English, bro. He was one of the guys that taught me English too, without teaching me English. Just by consuming his content, I learned it. I learned some of it.
rest of Jacksepticeye's YouTube history, you can hop over to my channel, Foot of a Ferret, where I've dedicated an entire episode of A Brief History to just that.
Okay, we're gonna watch that.
Should be live over there right now, so check it out if you like. I do a lot of YouTube-centric.
All right, guys, that was the video. What do y'all think? What do y'all think, man? Pewds, y'all know the guy's a legend, living legend, man. Yeah, good video. W Foot Off a Ferret, the owner of the channel. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Bye.